Meeting called to order, West Warwick Town Council meeting in Town Council Chambers, 1170 Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island. Today is September 19th. It is now 6:28 PM.
Roll call. Councilman Lichardi,
Here.
Councilman Messier.
Here.
Councilman Bourget,
Here.
Council Vice President Williamson.
Here.
Council President Goslin.
Here.
Quorum is declared. Proclamation celebrating 22 years as a Tree City, USA community. Just one of them.
Gentlemen, come on up. Resolved that the Town Council of the Town of West Warwick proudly joins the West Warwick J.C.'s of Kent County in celebrating their 22nd annual Tree City USA, with augments its town-wide commitment to Earth Day, Arbor Day, Ecology Day, and our neighborhood partnerships through the national recertification as a Tree City USA community in concert with Rhode Island DEM and National Arbor Day Foundation. And further, hearty congratulations are extended to our J.C.'s for their outstanding and continuous project management of public service at their award-winning J.C. Corridor and Arboretum. I hate that word. Arboretum, there you go. In their advocacy for the rehabilitation of the Senator Rock Riverwalk, all of which has become a statewide attraction for horticulture excellence over the past 2 decades. And in dedication to these many endeavors, the West Warwick Town Council is honored to extend their appreciation, gratitude, congratulations to the West Warwick J.C.'s for their commitment and dedication to the town of West Warwick. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Who wants to run the camera for Jack?
You should be in it. Tony or
Jack,
Jeff.
you need to be
Yeah,
in it.
Tony or Jeff. Oh, gee, there you go.
He already made this.
All black. Come on, Glenn.
Glenn, come on. Yeah, no, I don't, trust me, I'm good. It's about you guys. It's not about us anyway. Yeah, yeah.
There you go, Mary Beth.
No, no problem at all.
Is that the corrected 9/11 for Jack?
Yes, Jack. This is the corrected 9/11.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Consent agenda, approval of the minutes from the September 5th, 2023 regular town council meeting and the September 12th, 2023 special town council meeting.
Move approval of the consent agenda?
Second. Moving second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Appointments and resignations, request from David Parada for appointment to the Sewer Use Board of Review for term ending October 2026.
Move the name David Parada.
Second. Moving second. Any discussion?
See, David interviewed for jobs here previously. I've met him before. He has a lot of experience. I think he would be a good candidate.
Any other comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Request from Richard Banks for reappointment to the Zoning Board of Review for term ending July 2028.
I need to recuse myself for F02 and F03.
For the record, Councilman Licciardi recused himself from 02 and 03.
Move the name of Richard Banks.
Second?
Moving second, any discussion? Richard's been serving on the zoning board for a little while now. He does a great job. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Request for appointment to the West Warwick Planning Board as alternate member for term ending 2027.
You have a motion? I have two names.
I'll move the name of William Malloy. Discussion.
Second?
Moving second, discussion. William's here tonight. I know his resume is here. He's actually the executive director of, is it Cranston Housing Authority now? Come on up and introduce yourself.
I am the Deputy Director of Cranston Housing. I was the former Executive Director of North Providence Housing for 10 years.
He has a bachelor's in public administration.
Correct.
And I had a 20-minute conversation with William over the phone the other day. We didn't get to actually meet face to face, but I asked a few questions of what he'd like to see in West Warwick, and he's actually been very interested in the positions for a couple of years now that his children have all grown up and just nothing was available at the time. So that's why I think he would be a good fit on the board personally.
And I need to apologize because I have not gotten back in touch with you. I know that
I
you've
understand
asked, and
that.
I apologize for that. So we haven't gotten a chance to meet face to face. Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Malloy and I had a conversation this morning. I do want to have the opportunity for him to get up here and speak. That's why I brought his name forward. But I understand what I said this morning.
Absolutely. It
So we're just to let you know.
was a great
I-
conversation.
Yep. And I really appreciate the fact that you want to serve. I appreciate the service you have given to the state of Rhode Island through your other job / volunteer work as well. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
The name was moved, Mr. Oates.
Excuse me, point of order. Tom Oates, 6 Colonial Way.
Mr. Oates, I'm not gonna let you run
Mr.
this meeting.
Bourget moved the name for discussion,
Okay.
not for a vote. Play the
So-
record back
so-
for discussion,
Mr.
not
Mr.
for a
Mr.
vote.
Oates, when you move a name, you
For
move-
discussion,
when you move it, Mr. Oates, it's also moved for vote.
we'll see.
Okay, Robert's Rules of Order, thank you.
Excuse me, could you spell Robert's Rules of Orders? I highly doubt it the way you run your meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Oates. Have a good night. He doesn't run the meeting, I do.
Point of order.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
I'll take a roll call vote. Mark?
No.
Jay?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
No, because I haven't met you.
And I vote yes.
I'd like to move the name of Derek Reed for discussion.
For your time and consideration.
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
Thank you.
Move the name of Derek Reed.
I will second that for discussion as well.
Discussion?
I believe Derek does have the technical ability, and I'm not going to say anything that I haven't said to Derek a number of times. He has the technical ability. I think he could learn as an alternate, sitting there learning from people who have done the job for some time. He's not going to be surprised when I say I have some issues with the professionalism at times, and I am willing to give him a shot. But it's not baseball, so it's not like 3 strikes and you're out kind of thing. So I believe he does bring the technical expertise that we could use on the planning board.
And I've made my comments about Derek in the last 2 meetings that we've had, planning board appointments. And I think he'd be a perfect fit. And I agree with Mary Beth, and I've told Derek the same thing, his professionalism at times, but sometimes when you're passionate, you might lose some wording here or there.
But that's something that needs to be worked
It's
on.
something that needs to be worked on, yes. I think we all experience that
We all
on
could
occasion.
work on it,
We
yes.
can all work on it. But I think Derek will be a great person. I think he should have been the permanent, no offense to Mr. Villa. We've already had that discussion as well. And I think he'd be a perfect person to sit on the alternate and voice his opinions when there's something up there that he has very good knowledge of.
And I'll be honest, I've had my conversations with Derek. I think it was about a 45-minute conversation over the phone. But I also want to point out, he was a member of 2 other boards. And he came up here in August, I'm sorry, resigned because we didn't appoint him. And the one comment he did say is he's taking his Rolodex with him. So he quit the 2 boards that he was already on, whether it was because we didn't appoint him that night, or I heard other comments. I think, and I told him right out, this isn't me, because I have the same concerns you guys have. And I said, this is not me never saying never, but I told him at this point, I'm supporting Mr. Lamont.
Well, if I remember correctly, when Mr. Reed withdrew that night, part of it, I think, was because he didn't even get an opportunity to have his name considered. When he did everything the right way throughout the whole process, and yet he got treated wrongly by the town council, in my opinion. I really do believe that. That's the conversation I had with Mr. Malloy this morning, is I believe that Derek got the raw end of the stick when he did everything the right way. And the other reason why he gave is with the Recreation Committee, there's never anything for them to do, so he feels like it's a wasted position. That was a comment that he made when he came up that night. Tree warden, it's a tree warden. I mean, how many years do we even go without one? So it's not like he was on a board that was active and getting a whole bunch of things done, and he picked up his ball and went home type of a thing. And since then, I actually had a conversation with him, and I told him he's foolish because he has not left his Rolodex closed. He has kept it open over the last few weeks, and he has continued to help the town, because that's what Derek does.
And I actually had a conversation the next day with Derek and said, just that. You took your ball and you went home. And he said, well, no, I didn't. I said, you said, I'm taking my Rolodex with me. And those are the kinds of things that maybe with a little time, and you wouldn't have gotten up and made that comment. But that really has nothing to do with, other than your concern about whether you'd stick with it.
Boardroom, Derek.
Got a
So,
haircut.
huh?
You've got a haircut. Go
No, I
ahead.
didn't get a haircut.
Oh.
I just changed my hat.
Oh, okay.
So, you're right. So standing here as the passionate Derek, yeah, I say some stuff. But at some point in our lives, we all do. Okay? But there's not one person in this town or sat with me on the rec board or sat before us on the rec board, and David has a couple times because I enjoyed asking him for his name and address. It was great. Right? There was never an outburst. And I dealt with one of the worst meetings, which was, as we all know, the questioning about fees and things. And I did not, if there was a meeting to outburst, it was that night. And I didn't do it. When I sit where David was, that's business. When I sit over here, it's watching what's going on and voicing my opinion. So to put me on the planning board, and if you do it, I'll be over there where Sarah is. And yeah, I'll speak my opinion, but it was always going to be at a professional level. There's a lot of people in this community that have worked with me at a professional level, and there's none of them that'll tell you it happens outside. Jeff can attest to it as well. And the whole Rolodex thing, yeah, I was mad, but guess what? The following day, he needed something and I did it. And then a couple days later, he's having trouble with the irrigation system. On a Sunday, I met with him and fixed it. So, yeah, did I say that? Yep.
And you made it clear the next day that you were
So,
going to continue
To
to help.
say you don't have faith in me, or you're worried about things, or, whatever. David, at the end of the day, you gotta separate what I say to you personally to the better of the town, which would be the business side. And I don't think anybody can disagree with that. There's business, and then there's personal feelings. I could hate you, which I don't. Okay? But we can still do business together. That's the way it works. I don't like everybody I do business with, but I do business for the betterment of Reed's Landscaping, and this personally stuff, or Reed's Nightscapes. Doesn't mean I enjoy that person, but we do business together. And that's how I'm successful with contracts, negotiations. I go through them, but there's a difference. On this side of the podium, I'm the taxpayer that's passionate for my town and my community. So I'll leave it at that. Make your decision. Is what it is, but there's no hard feelings.
Mr. Oates, there's no comment.
No comment on topic?
Public comment, you can bring it up.
Okay, thank you.
I'll take a roll call vote. Mark,
Yes.
Jay? No. Mary Beth?
Yes,
And I vote no.
Where does that leave us?
without a,
Well, we're open it for now. They
with an
can-
opening for now. Yep.
Can reapply if they would like.
And again, I just feel that the council is once again taking a qualified member and,
We have two qualified members.
yep, but this other one has already been through the ringer a few times and keeps getting the bad end of the stick from the council, is my opinion. I'm allowed to an opinion, so.
Thank you. Business.
Memorandum of Agreement between the Town of West Warwick and the International Association of Firefighters Local 1104.
Move the memorandum of agreement.
Second. Move a second, any discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Malloy, for coming out. Appreciate it.
The chief may have more specific information. However, the gist of this is we received a grievance over the interpretation of holiday pay and emergency medical technician cardiac pay. And after doing some research and speaking with legal counsel, we determined and negotiated a clearer understanding of how both of those will work. Holiday pay for firefighters under their contract, under their collective bargain agreement, should be and will be paid upon employment when as soon as they start and a holiday comes forth. The emergency medical technician cardiac pay initiates upon successful completion of the fire academy, and they're out on the trucks responding and providing those services. So this resolves a few years of what I'd call a misinterpretation on how it's been paid inconsistently at some point to rectify those two matters.
So what you're saying is they get holiday pay when they're in the fire academy, but they don't get the EMT pay until after they graduate the fire
So
academy.
they're on the trucks performing the duties of what they term a rescueman.
So they get holiday pay when they're going through an academy, when technically they're not even really employed by us at that point, because it's
By their wording, they are
by their
employed.
word and they are.
I believe it's similar to police now. After 1995, which was my class, there was a labor complaint that was resolved 3 years later that rectified that. So now even police officers, instead of getting the $250 flat rate, no matter how many hours you worked, now make a percentage of two different contracts, but
But do police officers get paid holiday when they're in the police academy?
if they don't work the holiday, so it's not full holiday pay. They're different between the two contracts.
Well, that's what I'm confused on, because I don't think the fire academy runs on a holiday either, so they would get
Right,
holiday
like
pay.
even firefighters that are not working holiday, and the chief can probably explain it better. In police, if you work a holiday, it's an enhanced pay. If you don't work, you still get extra, but it's not as enhanced as if you're physically on duty.
Right, but I understand that, and I understand the fire side as far as when they're actually active duty, but when they're fire academy, they're not gonna be working, they're not gonna have training on a holiday. Just like in the police academy, they're not gonna have training on a holiday like Christmas, nobody's working on most of these holidays. So the fire department still gets
Grievance goes back to 2013. And we brought it to legal counsel. Legal counsel read and it says, all employees covered by this contract shall have, be entitled to the holiday pay. And they are, once they get hired and are going to the academy, covered by the contract. So it's clear, it's clear cut. And we did send that to the council, to legal counsel.
So why is this coming to us? If it's clear cut, and why don't they just get, if it's in the contract, why don't they just get paid?
So we are in the process. Well, I think it's really to make you aware of that. We're doing that. Okay, but have your approval.
In my opinion, because of the clarification of the language as an abundance of caution, is to make sure it's clear here. So when we go start collective bargaining in the new contract, we can properly address the wording moving forward
So it's clear,
and make sure it's clear.
it's
The
crystal
holiday-
clear right now, correct?
Yes, with
Okay,
this
so-
agreement, it clears up the ambiguity with the rescue man aspect of it. Yes.
Well, I don't
The other one,
understand
we
what the
just
issue is there.
clearly, we were clearly in the wrong with the holiday pay.
What's the issue with the other one? To me, if they've graduated from the fire academy,
And that's the way it had always been done.
so, but what I understand, that's the way it's gonna continue to be done. They have to graduate from the fire academy in order to get the EMT pay.
Right.
So we weren't paying them after they graduated.
Right, their grievance wanted them to get paid the EMT pay in the academy as long as they had it. So the compromise was that we weren't going to pay them in the academy. We'll pay them when they get up.
How does that cost us money though? Because that's what it's showing it.
Because they weren't compensated while they were doing their ride time. So it's kind of like the field training.
Gotcha. All right.
So why weren't they
Okay.
compensated? It seems pretty straightforward, that's why, like, why, so we were wrong for a while.
Correct.
And it goes back to 2013.
Goes back to 2013.
So in 10 years.
Yeah.
Why hasn't anybody? What the wrong? I mean, it's.
So.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vote on this, right? Just more,
I'm sorry.
there's no vote on this. This is just more of what.
Well, it probably is
It-
to
I mean,
approve the
if
memorandum
You
of agreement.
approving that, if approved, you and I would sign it on behalf of the town with the chief.
What is this going to cost?
It's $39,082.32.
For 10 years.
So are there people that have, so we're paying people back pay for 10 years, basically?
Well.
Well, no, it won't
it's
be,
a
it won't be
big-
10 years. I mean, it will be for people that were hired 10 years ago, but
Okay.
only for the period of time that they were not covered, they weren't paid, compensated.
Right.
Right,
But
right,
over the
no, I-
last,
yeah, yeah.
I'm saying, but for 10 years,
You know,
it's
it-
only
it's
like two
affecting
people this
about
year. 2 people
19.
2 years
We did a
later.
lot of hiring recently,
19.
so it's,
are there any people that we're paying, right? Are we paying anybody that is no longer here?
I believe one person. Maybe actually two people.
And that's probably how it slipped through the cracks so often because it's not yearly.
Thank you.
Any other comment, questions? Hearing none?
Aye.
Wait a minute, I said hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, I'm in favor, aye, aye. Let's correct the wrong.
Resolution authorizing the transfer of funds to the West Warwick Senior Center in the amount of $10,539.32.
Move the resolution.
Recuse myself. Second. Moving second. Any discussion?
I put this out, I believe, in one of my emails. Essentially, I was contacted by Director Maury, who asked if there would be any appetite for the town to assist them with a unrecoverable expense that they had. And after discussion, and obviously we're all aware of the services that the senior center provides for many in our community, I thought it was appropriate to request to reimburse them for their uncovered by insurance loss due to a pipe freeze back in February, in which they had to take $10,539.32 out of their operational funds for programming to cover that loss. And since it's a town-owned building, like to maintain our investments, I thought it would be appropriate to transfer some money out of our municipal government account to cover that.
The fact that Manny does what he does with the budget he has, I mean, it's amazing to begin with, so I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'm concerned about is if that is the way the language is in the insurance policy, that would affect all town buildings. That could be a substantial amount of money for us if we were to have a deep freeze and have a situation. So
Right, I think part of that is the trust is promoting a sensor program right now, and a lot of communities are doing it. We're
Okay.
doing an assessment on where it would be appropriate for us, where to help mitigate chances of that type of loss or catch it a lot sooner.
Any other comment? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Request from the West Warwick High School girls basketball team for sponsorship in the amount of $100.
Move approval.
Second. Moving second. Any discussion?
Yes, I know I brought it up the other night and you're supposed to look into this, our picture that we took in the middle of the summer. Because these are gonna be coming up and typically we give something, but it's unassigned to be our picture, so. Okay. All right,
Moved and ordered. All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Upcoming appointments, Sewer Use Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy as an alternate member for a 3-year term. Sewer Use Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy as a regular member for a 3-year term. West Warwick Housing Authority, appointment or reappointment for 5-year term expiring November 2027. Planning Board, appointment to fill a vacancy as an alternate member for term ending July 2027. Tax Assessment Board of Review, appointment to fill a vacancy for 3-year term. Zoning Board of Review, that was filled this evening. Arctic Redevelopment Commission, appointment or reappointment for 5-year term expiring October 2028. Public forum.
Public comment.
All right, Jason Licciardi, 26 Carlson Circle. I feel this is the most appropriate time to say this. I have to do it in public comment because of the ethics decision that has been brought down on me regarding the June car plat. So looking out my window, there is a backstop because it used to be a ball field. Backstop was put in by the town back in, I want to say 2002, maybe, by Warren Renshausen, who's the Parks and Recreation Director. So a backstop, to replace this backstop anywhere in town, I would say with all in cost, shipping, delivery, piecing it together, installing, probably like around 10 grand. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of background. I'm not gonna be too long, but just in case people don't know, that piece of property was private property. The family that owned it leased the field to the town for $1 per year in lieu of paying taxes and doing maintenance. So it was a good relationship for a long time until the family decided they wanted to sell. So the family decided they wanted to sell, which is fine. Backstop remained there. DPW back in 2000, I want to say 19 maybe, they came and took out the telephone poles, which served as a barrier for parking so cars would not drive on the field. But the backstop was still left. Shouldn't have been. I'll leave it at that, but it is still there. Property has been sold to a developer who wants to wants to develop the land, which is again, that's fine. But it's a town backstop. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not the developer's backstop. It belongs to the town. And as a taxpayer and a homeowner, I believe it should go to the town if the town needs it. If the town wants to chop it up and put it in for scrap, it doesn't matter. It belongs to the town. Anything further, you would have to discuss with your DPW, Parks and Rec director, which I really don't want to get into at this point in time. But it's up to him if he'd want to come up and explain the rest. If not, that's totally your call. But it's not anybody's properties but the town to decide what they want to do with it. So,
Is anyone arguing that point? I mean, is someone disagreeing that it's the town's?
I don't know.
Well,
I can just tell you from my point of view as a taxpayer and a homeowner, that belongs to the town and I can't go any further with that.
The only thing that the town can look at is the purchase and sales agreement between our family and the buyers. But normally, a backstop which is cemented into the ground would be considered a fixture. It would be part of the conveyance unless there's a carve out in the purchase and sales.
Well, that's the second backstop that got put in.
Well,
So
again,
I'm just
I-
letting you
I-
know, because
I-
it can be removed.
Right,
So,
but I just don't know what the purchase and sales agreement says about what the Carr family conveyed to the buyer.
right, and to be honest with you, as a taxpayer, as not as part of this purchase and sales agreement, I don't care. I'm looking at it that is, it's not somebody's property to sell. That, I mean, I'm not, you know legally better than I
I'm
do.
just saying that has not been established yet because
Right.
you
Right.
don't know what the terms and conditions were for the town to utilize that property for $1 a year. For example, I don't know if there's any documentation that says, should the town put something in that it becomes a fixture?
Okay.
And now it runs with the property versus it'll always belong to the town.
And that can be found in the clerk's office.
I would assume so,
Yeah.
yes, but I'm not making any promises.
No, I've seen it. It's in the clerk's office.
Okay.
No question. Just an FYI, thanks.
An email went today to the developer's attorney requesting
Okay,
it back, so we'll-
okay.
with
Yeah,
another inquiry too.
That was my
so
question.
hopefully-
Have we even
hopefully-
asked? Yes, sure. I think you are. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. I think you got that right on that the property was sold, everything that's on and every fixture is the new owners. So just reaching out like Mr. Knott did might mute this, this whole issue. My apologies for getting a little bit excited earlier to all of you, especially David. And to you, David. This is business, not personal. Moving a name forward and not giving discussion, and I know you're upset you have there's personal issues between yourself and Derek. I know this personally. We've had our issues as well, but outside these chambers, we can have a cordial conversation, which we have on many occasions. Just need your consideration. If Derek puts his name in the hat again, just to remember that personal is one thing, but when you're voting on the business of this community, you have to take that into consideration. Mr. Malloy, I've never met, don't know him, and I wanted to say hello and introduce myself, but he left as soon as that issue was over. I don't know who he is. I'm not questioning his credentials in any way, shape, or form. But it is my understanding, well, no, it's not an understanding because it's on the agenda, the attachments. There are 2 letters of recommendation from highly qualified people in the community in reference to Derek Reed and his appointment to that board. And I'd like them to be read into the record if that's appropriate.
They're on the agenda, so they can be read.
So you don't think it's appropriate to put it on
Not
the
at this
record?
time,
for-
no,
Not this time?
not at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Commander Allen G. Plazo, 5 Robin Lane, West Warwick. The Empire State Building was built in about 400 days. How long have I been asking for the podium? We don't even have the prototype here anymore. I just wanted to point that out because I keep dropping stuff. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. One of these days, maybe before I 6 feet under, we'll have a podium. Okay. Over a year ago, I raised the issue of a senior tax freeze. Oh my God. You were going to consider it. We were going to look into it. We were going to get legislation. So far, I've seen nothing, not a zip. I just wanted to point that out, that I'm going to keep bringing it up. There are a lot of elderly out there that are waiting for that, and something needs to get done
I'm going to address
before
that.
we're into
Can I address that?
another.
Can I answer that?
You don't have to answer. I
No,
just
I-
wanted to
I have
raise
no
the
problem.
issue.
I have no problem. So Pat Serpa, I talked with Pat Serpa, and I mentioned this at budget time. She's willing to bring something forward in the State House if we, as a group, are willing to put something together. So I mentioned that at budget time, as you recall, everybody should recall. At that time, there was a conflict about the timing in the State House to bring things before they recessed. And we decided, as a group, that it wasn't the best time to bring that forward. So budget season is over. Now we're in the fall. So I have no problem bringing that back to Pat Serpa.
It doesn't necessarily just need to be Pat Serpa. I mean, how many,
She's my rep, so I feel more comfortable going through her, but she has no problem doing that. I just don't want to bring something forward to her without a blessing from the entire council. Because there's got a lot of work that will go into that. And if she brings it forward and we say no, then, people are gonna look like an ass.
so maybe
And
we
that's
should
not
put it
what
on the
I
agenda
So I
next
put it-
time.
So I knew you were gonna bring it up today, so I will put it on the agenda for the next council meeting for us to discuss it. And if it doesn't go forward, then there's no point in bringing it back to her. Fair enough?
Not necessarily, because you just have Pat Serpa. I would suggest that every member of the General Assembly from West Warwick should be co-sponsors of that legislation to reinforce.
I'm just gonna go, she's my rep in my ward, and I work very well with her. Whether we agree or disagree on some things, I'm gonna bring it to her first, because I've already brought it to her first.
I disagree.
That's,
I would
that's how I'm gonna
disagree
go
and
with
have
it.
the council go forward with it,
that's how I'm gonna go forward.
to everyone. But,
So,
okay,
I'm
we'll look at the
addressing it.
next agenda. I'll be looking for it.
I know.
Okay, I brought up this issue last time around. I believe Mr. Goslin had said that if Mr. Williamson's invoices were more than 30 days in arrears, there would be issues. I was just wondering where we stand on that. Are they in fact more than 30 days in arrears? Are any of them more than 30 days in arrears? Town manager or the finance director can answer that.
They're up to date
Okay.
in 30 days.
Very good, thank you. You're on the record, Mr. Knott. Okay. There was some to-do this week regarding Washington Street. Okay, which made me go back and look at, quote, the Arctic Village Redevelopment Agency and Plan. Okay, we need to be specific on things. That goes back to 2006. Perhaps it's time for an update, number one. Number two, we need to take a look at it because as written, it talks about encourage retail development. Okay. The issue that was defeated last night had nothing to do with retail development, at least from my perspective. It was to increase the town's tax revenue. And I'll get back to that in a little bit. And more importantly, from my perspective, the gazebo, which has been the center of attention
for a while now was, quote, the symbolic and functional center of the town. Oh my God, I don't think so. If you look at that and review it, people should go there, take their children. There've been a lot of comments about that. And somehow over the years, that is, in my opinion, no longer the functional center of this town. So you may want to take a look at that. Going back to increase the tax revenues, not only 183 Washington Street, but Thundermist properties in the town, and now Rock's Market for a church. Are they coming off the town's tax rolls? You don't have to answer that now. Maybe you should answer that in the next one, because I don't see these developments, if you will, adding to the town's tax base.
So, Alan, I will answer a little bit of that, because I know Councilman Licciardi reached out about Rock's Market. Again, it's a purchase and sales agreement. What goes forward? There's been many properties, including the one in 183, had a purchase and sales.
Mr. Goslin,
agreement.
I have it on very good authority that it is going forward. The car wash didn't. I have it on good authority that this will go, but you're answering part of it. You're not answering the rest about Washington Street. You're not answering about the Thundermist properties. The taxpayers of this, wait, let me
Thundermist
finish.
pays taxes.
They do pay taxes.
Mhm.
Okay,
I have confirmed that over a month ago.
over here too, and on the cotton shed? Okay, because I will follow up on that.
Follow up with Sal or the tax collector.
No problem. With regard to that development, the quote pods, I've seen several sizes mentioned. Were they 8x8 or 10x10?
8x8 on the
8 by
plan.
8. Maybe the chief of police or the former chief of police can answer me the question, what is the size of a solitary confinement cell at the ACI? And how would you even consider putting people in that? To me, that's cruel and unusual punishment. I don't even think the Nazis put people in rooms that big. In North Vietnam, they did. However, you're putting people in West Warwick in those and calling it a shelter. Are you kidding me? Seriously? Someone also raised the issue of a fire hazard in that area, possible fire hazard. Oh my God. I'm just putting this out there for thought, because who's going to be liable?
There's actually a fire suppression system, I believe, is there not? Yes, yes.
Okay. For the director of DPW, I know Cohasset Avenue is a state road. I know it's being done by Kent County Water Authority, but in plain English, they are doing a terrible job. Coming out of Coit Avenue, there's like a 3 or 4 inch dip in the pothole. Up at the top of the hill, Mr. Licciardi, I'm surprised you're not jumping up and down. There's 2 huge holes, whatever the D Street is at the end of your,
I know, I drive it every.
I know, but why?
It's, what I'm told is it's going to be fixed. It takes
Going to be
time.
fixed.
So I'm leaving it at that. I'm taking people's word for it, and well, I know what I'm doing.
The term we use in the Navy is bohica, okay? Because people are going to applaud, they're going to ruin their front ends, they're going to get upset. I drove by the other day, they had done some work, they left it, put it this way, there was gravel all over the place. It was absolutely terrible. And people should not have to put up with that. Whoever is the supervisor overseeing that project needs to get on the stick and hold them accountable. You guys don't ride on that. He does.
Every day,
On that one?
every single day. I come from one side of West Warwick to the other, right to Murphy Highway, every single day.
But you're not there when the road is,
Take Church Street and I come home. I come home, the construction's done and I come home Church Street every single day.
Okay. I'm just saying, somebody needs to take a look at that.
Spain's another disaster,
Well, East Main,
throw it
I
out
don't
there
do
for
that
you,
very
too.
often.
because you don't go down it, but I do, and I can tell you, I got a 2,500 truck and it takes a beating every single day.
No problem.
It's open.
It's a-
Question for you guys. When Sarah puts out the agenda, I routinely go to various West Warwick websites and put out what I call a PSA. Does anyone know what a PSA is?
Public service announcement.
Outstanding, thank you. There's one website and it's called Wonderful West Warwick. Is that yours, Mr. Messier?
Wonderful West Warwick is not mine.
How about Jess Rubery? I think she might be the administrator on that. I routinely post PSAs, and as soon as I post it, 15 seconds later, your post has been removed. So perhaps someone needs to address her, because I think she still sits on a town board or commission, what PSA means and why I do that. I don't take shots at anybody unless I put something rotten in the state of Denmark. However, I'm trying to inform the taxpayers of this town, and I don't appreciate it getting taken down routinely. So I just wanted to put that out. And last but not least, Payne Street. The sale of the property to Child Inc. I know that's been going on. I've mentioned it. I raised the issue when they offered 50K and said, are you on drugs? However, I came across something regarding Pawtucket preventing the sale of property that had been given to the city for the benefit of the children of the town. And it raised the issue, a little known Rhode Island law that would prevent sale of that. I was wondering if anybody here has taken a look at that legislation to see if it would prevent you from trying to transfer Payne Street to Child Inc. Okay, save ourselves a lot of problems. Look at it. If it can't be done, that's it. One other item with regard to the fire contract. You're not the only ones I pick on. I attended the entire Employees Retirement System of Rhode Island board meeting on Wednesday. And oh, by the way, I asked them to include an open forum in that. But one item that came up was the West Warwick ARC, okay? Last year, talking to Mr. Karpinski, they pulled the numbers out of the air. He has told me that this year, the numbers will be provided by the state of Rhode Island auditors, and they will be, you can take them to the bank. However, during the course of that meeting, the issue was raised about the West Warwick pension and the system, how it's going to come up with. And the issue was, one of the members of the board asked to clarify who would be paying for that evaluation. The answer is, come on, you know, the town of West Warwick. That was made very specific by Mr. Karpinski. So you're going to be on tap for that. I have no idea how much it's going to cost, but hopefully you've got that budgeted in somewhere. And when they come up with the ARC, you're going to have to come up with that. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of disappointed West Warwick retirees. Conversely, there may be a lot of disappointed West Warwick taxpayers, depending on what the number is. Because in the entire state, there are only 2 pension systems that receive COLAs. Central Falls at 2% and West Warwick at 3%. So hopefully somebody is looking at those numbers and have it in line. I just want the taxpayers and the West Warwick retirees to know what's coming down the pike, because things don't often come out in public. So I'll leave it at that. I wish you well. Oh, my bad. Mr. Goslin, what item are we on now?
Public comment,
What does it say?
public forum.
Public forum. Wrong. If you look at Rhode Island General Law 4642-2, the correct definition is open forum, okay? So maybe we should get that in line. That's what I asked Mr. Karpinski to have on the state agenda next time around. Maybe we can do it here. Same time with regard to the meeting we had last night. What was it a meeting of? Anybody want to know? Or can answer me?
West Warwick Arctic Redevelopment Commission.
Agency. Okay, because I went looking, I looked at the Arctic Redevelopment Agency. I looked for the Arctic Village Redevelopment Agency, and I couldn't find anything. Finally, you know me, I called the Secretary of State's office.
I sent you an email with it.
I know, but the gentleman came back and said, it is the West Warwick Arctic Village Redevelopment Agency, and he cited it. So we need to make things accurate so we don't end up in trouble. We'll see how things go. And I'll leave it at that. Have a good day.
I know everybody wants to go home, so I'll be quick. Rick Banks, 8 Campbell Street. I just wanted to say, sorry I missed it, but thank you for the reappointment to the zoning board. That's all I wanted to say.
Wow.
I just ended up being a little late, so,
We gave you
Yeah.
20 minutes of compliment. You were still late.
yeah, I'm sure you did. I'll go back and watch. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. I was just wondering if you could clarify something for me. I was at the meeting last night, and there was a gentleman who owned property, I believe it was on Hare Street, who came up here to speak, and he said, how did this all come about? Because I didn't know anything about it. You know, we went from, I guess, conceptual to purchase and sales, and I know I didn't find out until last week. But it was said on the board that the lawyer said something about they leave it up to the developer to notify the 200-foot radius. Now, are they subject to the same agenda postings and everything else that all the other boards are? Because, I mean, people are affected by stuff they do that doesn't only affect people within 200-foot radius. So for instance, the development, the Times building was on last night. It was on for architectural plan approval. And I had to come up and just ask, you know, are there any tax deferments on this? So that board recommends tax deferments to the town council, which come out of the taxpayers' pockets, and not only the taxpayers within 200 square feet, 200-foot radius, but throughout the town. So I don't know what their requirements are, or should they be required to post an agenda so that everybody can see what's actually on the agenda?
I think the agenda was posted. It was actually posted short, I think it was posted before our council meeting because the following day, the agenda was sent to me.
Well, the agenda for the last night's meeting was posted, but
They
but
posted,
I don't know what he's talking about when they said they notify the abutters, they leave it up to,
My suggestion would be to contact Marilyn Sherman, excuse me,
the planner. Yeah,
the planner, or Joe Brennan, the
Okay.
attorney for the board.
okay.
They fill you in on what the law is, what the rules and regulations.
All right, because like I said, I just didn't know if that was.
Similarities to zoning and planning, but there are some distinct differences. also.
Okay, because like I said, they do things that affect the whole town, so. As far as Mr. Plaza, some of his comments, to be honest with you, I don't know where he gets the energy, but long story short, the 3%, West Warwick town employees don't get 3% COLA. So to clarify that, it's 2.25 and it's 15 years. So just to make that clear. For pension. Yeah, but we don't get it. No, we don't get 3% COLA. That's the state employees.
so, guys, I
Well,
just want to keep it clear, but just to give you a heads up, Mr. Plazo, Mr. Viller is right, because he's on the West Warwick pension. The MERS future employees or anybody who signed up, whoever became an employee as of.
Thank you for that clarification.
So
then.
you have two, remember, there's two different pensions. I just want to clarify that. There's the West Warwick pension, which now is run by the state, and then the MERS pension. So try to keep, I know it's tough because we have it up here. There's two separate pensions.
And I stand corrected on that because I'm not even thinking the new employees are in that, but it needed to be clarified because not all employees are getting that. And it's kind of a general comment to a lot of the stuff that happened here tonight. I think civility needs to return here. You know, you can come up here and voice your opinion as a taxpayer. And I've been on the receiving end as a public servant. It's never pleasant. It never is. And I know some people up here have taken shot after shot after shot. And I know there's people in the audience that have similar issues. But when it comes down to it, you can come up here and say what you need to say in a civil tone. We don't need to yell and scream at each other. I don't know Mr. Connolly. From what I heard,
Malloy.
excuse me, Mr. Malloy, he had a good resume, and so does Mr. Reed. I just don't know how we move forward if we can't get over issues. I mean, I've come here as a taxpayer, and I think most of you have known me for a long, long time. I'm very passionate about this town. I'm very passionate about what happens here. I try to be civil in everything I do here. However, there are people who've held things against me that I say, but that's my personal opinion. And I believe that's everybody's right, at least right now it is, under the First Amendment. I know we have a governor in New Mexico who said that no constitutional right is absolute in her view, but in my view, the Constitution is the Constitution. So when somebody comes up here, or when somebody takes offense to something, I don't take it personal, but I wish they wouldn't either, because I'm not here trying to do anything but make this town better. And if we don't stop the bickering and the fighting, and it doesn't do any good for the town. And we are in dire straits with a lot of problems we have here. We're trying to do redevelopment. We're trying to get the town back on its feet. I just, in a general sense, I just wanted to say that, and hopefully we can get a little better and more civil with each other, and we can move on in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those last comments, because I agree with you 100% on that.
Sorry, I'm getting old. 3 more items. One of them for Mr. Goslin. Someone posted tonight, asked if anyone knew what was going into the new Max Bolaway or the old Max Bolaway. I referred them to you, gave them your email, so hopefully you can answer that, and we'll go from there.
I can answer that right now. It's actually going to be a antique car storage facility.
Which is totally different when somebody posted on social media that it was,
I've had direct conversation with the owner.
okay, no problem. See, you cleared up a problem or something for everybody. With regard to the gazebo and the bike path, I know you've all seen the pictures of the used hypodermic needles there. And the question comes to mind, I know that's classified as sharps. I was just wondering if the fire department or the DPW employees get hazardous duty pay for clearing that stuff up, because you can get sick. Posted, they don't want their kids walking on the bike path because of the possibility of contracting something. And I was just wondering how that's handled. I wanted to put that out. That's your bailiwick. Something needs to get done. And last but not least, talking about professionalism, maybe the town manager can acquire a copy of Robert's Rules of Order for all members of the town council that you can actually keep up on these desks to refer to them. Otherwise, I might jump out of my chair, but I'll leave it at that. They're cheap enough.
Disappeared out of the desk over here. Any other public comment?
Motion to move into.
Motion to move into
Anybody online?
executive session.
Anybody online?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night.